Yo, what's going on everybody, and welcome to another video. Now, you guys have requested this video a lot. I think we're gonna have a super sick video here today, but as you see in the background, we're doing another Fiverr video. And I actually found this person right here, and he's charging $45 for a basic plan, and I believe I'm going with the full premium plan. Now, what that offers is deep dive session where you get to understand the game at pro level. But what's different about this person is most of the other coaches that I've done before, they play with you in the game, and then, you pretty much just run with them for an hour and they tell you, what you're doing wrong in the game. But with this, I think this would actually be really cool for a video because he actually goes in and he'll watch a VOD and tell you exactly what you're doing wrong in like a video, So I'm gonna play Apex. I'm gonna play a couple games of Apex with like a weird sense, a weird field of view, and just kind of make myself look like a little bit of a bot. I mean, I am a bot, but like worse than I normally am. And I know I've done that in previous coaching videos, but I'm not gonna make it as blatantly obvious that I'm terrible at the game. My whole end game of this video is to pretty much get you guys some tips from this player. Now, I mean, he seems like he's a pretty good guy. I checked out his Twitch, and on his past broadcasts, he was actually in the 1v1 tourney that I was in as well, but there were so many people in there, I don't think he actually knows who I am. Plus, you guys know we're going undercover as always. I'm gonna have to bring back Apex God X22. I'm getting it for $70, and then I'm going to be ordering the one-day delivery. This can go really good or it can go really bad. The whole purpose of this, like I said, is to try to get you guys some good tips, and I'm gonna kind of critique his tips after the video and say anything else I need to say on top of the tips, because if he nails it, all kudos to him, all power to him. So after I purchased it, there was a little brief explanation of Apex Legends experience, and I pretty much just said I'm remotely new to the game, just started playing with some in real life friends a few months ago on controller. I came from Call of Duty trickshotting on PC. I'm looking to get some professional advice and tips that could help me improve my gameplay. I play Bloodhound and Octane and have around 3,000 kills with them each. I play a little bit less passive aggressive, and my go-to loadout is the flatline and the triple take. Looking forward to get some help. Thank you.
Yo, what's up, man?
Yo, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing, dude?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad.
So just pay attention to the screen share for the most part here.
Yep, I'm gonna full screen it in a sec.
So this Call of Duty is the only shooter game you played before this?
I played that. I played a little bit of Halo back in the day. So I mean, like, when I first saw Apex Legends, like the Prowler reminded me of like weapons in Halo. So that's what kind of gave me the push to like play it. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Yeah, since you're mentioning your loadout, we'll get into your loadouts early on actually, because this loadout is very limited to that type of playstyle. If you really want to kind of adapt to that kind of playstyle, at least,
right?
Which is a good playstyle. Like playing fairly aggressive is very rewarded in Apex, because healing in Apex is so efficient, right? You can heal your whole shield in 4 seconds. If you come to other games like PUBG or something, if you take one shot, you need to stand and heal for 10-15 seconds. Right. So healing in Apex is so much more efficient than any other like BR games. For the first part, do you have any like specific goals that you want to go towards, or just overall improve?
I would just like to get some advice as an average player on how to kind of get into that next group, or like step up to like improve my overall gameplay. Getting some advice on what's the meta loadout, if I were to switch legends, which ones you would recommend for my playstyle, and maybe even getting into ranked, because I wanted to start ranked here soon and I wanted to see how that grind was. Maybe give me some advice for that.
Yeah, for sure. We can mention like characters and weapon loadout for first part, because it's actually, especially the weapon loadout, is very crucial if you want to optimize your gameplay very like simply just by choosing the right weapons, because there is heavy limitation in terms of certain weapons. This is called a hip fire, right? When you don't aim down sight, and it's called a ADS when you aim down sight.
Right. And
the different types of weapons have different types of multiplier speeds. You see here you have sniper, carbine, shotgun, SMG, pistol, and hipfire.
Yep.
And LMG, yeah.
So the pistols are moving, like, the pistols are going to be the fastest there in the bottom right. It shows that pistols are the fastest, going to snipers are the slowest for straight speed.
Yeah, it's ranked darkless. We'll get into the stats right there, but I just wanted to see the kind of visualization in terms of how fast you actually move. I'll show that a bit later as well, but you can see it like drastically how... So that's the kind of weapon loadout I would... You don't need to go for both of them. I would put either this and at least get used to one of these.
Right, like, so pretty much you want to have one of those, at least one, in your loadout for a majority of the game. Obviously, you know, RNG plays its factor, and landing on a certain location, you might not get that weapon, but, you know, during the game, try to prioritize picking up one of those weapons for the simple fact that, you know, they're kind of meta.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It's like always looking for having a weapon loadout that is kind of your go-to, that you're kind of specialize yourself in, you know, the spray pattern, you know, what positions they're good at, you know, how to play it in like a deeper level than any other gun, right?
Right.
Kind of specializing yourself. That's the kind of most efficient way, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, try to implement at least one of these guns because of the kind of capabilities they have with their scoping down sight and not being super slowed. And that is so important when you're close range. Because if you use these weapons close range, you're dead just by that factor.
You're going to be limited on strafing, right? Okay.
You need to hip fire. You need to hip fire in every close range if you're gonna do it right. That's, of course, you can win close range fight if you're at an average level, but I want you to kind of have this a bit more optimized mindset of going into like the knowing what's best and knowing how it works and trying to implement that into your gameplay, rather than I wanted to understand the kind of why the top level is played and how it works. That's basically like weapon loadouts is mostly due to the, as you see, the ADS speed. Is one of the main reasons why they are and good players having a good strafing pattern are almost impossible to hit at many times. You need to predict their movement rather than reacting to it, and that becomes like almost like a psychological level, which is, it's like super complicated. It's hard to teach people that. You just need to play the game a lot, right?
You gotta practice, yeah.
Of course, when you, let's say your crosshair is here, and when you strafe to the left, if you have a higher movement speed, your crosshair is gonna move faster to the left with you, right?
Right.
So that effect alone makes these weapons harder to play, because you're moving faster, it's harder to keep up. Like tracking your target, called aim assist, will help a lot with it. If you play the right range and distance, it will still be a factor, right? It's easier to hit these shots, and that's a kind of trap that people kind of tend to fall into. It's like they feel like it's easier to hit a shot with a carbine, and the main reason that is because you're moving slower. It's easier to keep your crosshair on the target.
Right.
Once you move twice as fast, it becomes a way more difficult kind of tracking game, but it requires practice. But that practice will pay off when you actually understand it and you implement it. The biggest thing here is this is actually, it's kind of fetched into your audio, right? Okay. So when you peek, the reason you peek here is because you hear someone run under here, right?
Right.
You hear someone that's coming up here, and you're gonna peek him. So then you need to position yourself accordingly to be efficient. Is that running straight into it, or is it holding this position right here? And you do something in the middle, right? You position yourself right here, then it starts to fire back at you, and you start backpedaling. So let's see here. You go up here, start shooting, and backpedal, and you get punished. It does like 80 damage on you. And this is kind of the positional thing that you need to adapt to. It's so like always taking the corner positions, and this is why I'm talking about strafing. You need to be taking these, not only for just staying safe into being harder to hit on the corner here.
Yeah. But
when you're going in for reloads, I know you don't have ammo here, but it doesn't really matter. You always want to be taking this position, because when you fire, instantly when you're done shooting, you want to duck behind corner and then go in for a reload. That's kind of the default positional play that you need to adapt to every time. Find a position and spray from the corner or the box or the high ground, whatever.
Okay.
And then you duck behind the corner and do your reload. So this is the thing. You always need to be strafing horizontal when you have a guy in front of you. You should never be like backpedaling sideways, straight back towards the guy, somewhat towards the guy. The main reason because of that is imagine if someone is standing in front of you here. If he were to move right towards you right now, you don't even need to move your cursor at all. It's efficiently standing still on your screen if he's running straight towards you, right? And that effect you will get to some degree if he runs a bit here or a bit to this. So the most efficient in terms of being hard to hit is being very straight horizontal, just left and right inputs all the time. So yeah, this type of thing is what I basically want to get into in terms of controlling the R90. For the most part, I use 2x on it. The reason I use it is because I'm running the kind of loadout I talked about earlier is R90 Mastiff.
Okay.
Which then makes the R90 the kind of main weapon in the loadout.
Yep.
So having a 2x on it makes more sense in terms of like hitting longer ranges shots and being precise with them.
Okay.
That's the main reason I use that. You can use a 1x as well, but I feel like it's just overall harder. And you can also take it away or swap if you have like a red dot on this one, right?
Right.
You're versatile. You're not stuck with a 2x if you really hate that on close range or something. The thing is, R90 is super efficient in terms of hip fire as well, right? The hip fire on it is super tight. So it's not that bad to hip fire many times. But anyway, the recoil is the kind of pattern I want you to pay attention to is the first one, this bullets right here.
Yep.
And you see that they're very consistent in terms of how it goes like this, right?
Yeah.
And then it starts going like this, which you shouldn't be caring about. This part is so much harder to control on range than just building this into a muscle memory. I understand that on a controller this is way more sensitive, but I still believe you can practice it and make your shots really tight if you just practice this. So see, like just like I'm doing right now, stacking out your R90, going around here, trying to move while you do that burst fire move, trying to pinpoint your bullets, only moving left and right is a really kind of efficient way of building muscle memory of moving good, as well as understanding the spray pattern or burst pattern at least. And like the main reason I want you to understand the burst pattern is not to spray like this. This is not a realistic scenario where you rail his head, right? Only use his head for like a point of reference to pinpoint my bullets.
Okay.
The main reason why you want to do this is kind of the scenario that you're looking at right here. When people are like this distance where it's kind of somewhat hard to fully control a full R90 spray, this is when you want to implement the kind of shooting in burst and hitting your shots at longer ranges. Just only shooting in burst is just so much more easier to actually land your shots. I can mention the reason why R90 and Mastiff is kind of a really strong loadout. Do you know what jiggle peeking is?
I do not.
Okay. So jiggle peeking is something when you do this.
Okay.
When you only peek the shoot. Even if you do with like wingman and like dunk, 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 dunk. Every time you peek, you shoot basically. That's jiggle peeking.
Okay.
And the Mastiff, if you're playing inside houses, like if you're around the corner and you're able to shoot and let your weapon kind of reset every time you're behind the corner, is super efficient. Seeing the target at all time, because it has no downtime. It's going to spray all the time. The only downtime is a reload, which is when you want to get behind cover. But the Mastiff has like, you cannot spray it, right?
Right.
There's downtime between every shot. And this is with purple bolt. You can imagine if you don't even have a purple bolt. So doing this, making yourself like only peek for like a microsecond, is going to make yourself so much harder to hit. And having the versatility of like being able to spray at the same time, like you can imagine how efficient this loadout is on close range. You can be on this range. This is what I mentioned earlier, is that if you get stuck here and you don't know how to control it, you're just going to shoot. You're not going to hit your shots.
Right.
And then if he has a carbine, he's going to win that. And then you're just stuck here. You're like, oh, this is a... You cannot win because you cannot use the fucking shotgun on this range. You're not going to do anything. The only weapon you can do range on or damage on range is the R90. And then you need to know the spray pattern or the burst pattern at least. So you see, like, you can shoot for position is basically what I'm talking about here. So if you're in this range, you're not going to kill him with that initial kind of burst. You might do 70 damage if you hit a couple shots. He's going to then fall behind the cover. Then you can push in and take a good close range position. And then you have the kind of winning condition. Peeking out, hitting your shots. Okay, you took 90 damage. Maybe put your portal, do a portal push in. Super safe. If you were to even get shot right here and take a lot of damage, you'd regain the advantage once you go through here again.
Okay.
If he comes through, you can play the sound cue, you can hear him come, and you can just pre-fire the portal. If I were to like pick out 3 characters that you should be diving into, it would even be Wraith, Pathfinder, or Gibraltar, depending on your playstyle. Gibraltar is way more defensive and needs way more control and mostly a team to play around, because his hitbox is huge and he plays very well with like medium long range weapons because of his gun shield and all that. So I would say even Pathfinder or Wraith. Do you know specifically why a high ground is good?
It's better because you have a lot more positioning to work with.
The main reason is due to your hitbox. It's something called head glitching. Have you heard about that term? Do you know what it is?
It is when you are on a, you know, it could be a rock, it could be a railing, it could be anything, where the only thing showing is your head, which obviously, yes, it can do a lot of damage if they hit you, but if you're at a certain distance, their bullets are less likely to hit you, while you have an open field and can see him head to toe.
So if you're playing a high ground, your point of view is always going to hit like the ledge right here, so it's going to hit like this. So this will be your field of view when playing this specific position. And the kind of positional play that you're looking for when you're playing a high ground is, again, as you said, you want to see him head to toe. But that doesn't mean that you should be playing right here and making your point of view hit down here, because that doesn't make sense. Because as you will see right now, is that right now you'll see 100% of the hitbox, but what he sees back is your head. So you see all his hitbox, he only sees your head. So you can head glitch on literally almost every high ground. It doesn't need to be a tall building, little ridge or something. You go up here and then you play behind this. You have slightly more advantage when you play them because you can move. You don't have like objects that you can hit behind you. This is always like a flat area on top.
Right.
So it's way more easier to move and strafe unpredictably at the same time. And you can imagine hitting a target, strafing perfectly that looks like this, and it strafes left and right.
It's going to be a lot harder to hit that rather than someone just
that's
being
what
out
he
in the
sees,
open.
and that's what you see. Like just by this alone, you understand that you have a massive advantage.
Absolutely.
So it's important to still, when you play a high ground, to still position yourself correctly. And only the biggest indicator is like putting this ledge up to somewhere between here and here. But if these are the people you're playing against and this is you on the bottom, you always need to be finding a cover. The main reason why you find a cover is to get behind it and use that cover to zone out the 2 other guys on the team. So you're efficiently only forcing a 1 versus 1 every time you fight.
Okay.
That is the main use of a cover. So that means if you overpeak, you instantly lose that kind of 1v1 effect. So this, at this point, is where your kind of information gathering skill comes into play, because you're going to come from a place, right? And if you come from here, you see this guy and maybe this guy are in the open, and this last guy might be in behind something, right?
Yeah.
So then you come from this side, oh, you spot him and you spot him. It's like, oh, I'm going to take this position right here and start to fight. I'm going to zone out this guy at least. Then you have like you have your range of hearing as well, right?
Right.
So then you can hear around you. And that further on should kind of emphasize your positional play, right? So if you see that these two guys are here and you came from this side, it makes more sense that you should be playing closer to this to just zone out this guy, because you haven't seen this side of the map. So you don't want to place yourself here, right? Because you don't know what's on this side. And as well, if he comes into your hearing range, you will then hear him and then you can correct your positional play. So you use vision cues from the beginning, and when you get into close range, you need to enable your sound cues.
Okay.
That's how you just keep control in a area when you start fighting. And this takes a long time to kind of fully optimize, because your brain needs to kind of separate all the different audio cues. What is footsteps, what is gunshots, what is healing sounds, what is different characters' footsteps. All of this takes time for your brain to really understand at a deep level, and to actually separate them. It's like, oh, there's a guy stepping in my left while you are healing or shooting or something, right? That takes a certain amount of skill to actually detect, because many people just don't hear anything when they start shooting or run or whatever. People generally just don't hear anything at all for the most part in these public games. But and I think like this is the biggest thing, that people don't know how to separate the different audio cues. As I said, what is a footstep and whose footstep is it, and where is it coming from? You need to, that information need to be like super precise and quick to take full advantage of it. Because if you react too late, you take additional damage, and that could be a lose factor.
It's something like this. If the person on the left in this example here was, say, a caustic, and you can hear his footsteps coming from your left side, you know that he could A, throw a trap, or B, put his ultimate down that can then prevent you from fighting the person in the middle and the person to the right. While if it was, you know, say maybe an Octane, you know that 1v1 on the left side is going to be a little bit easier to deal with compared to, you know, a caustic or a Wraith that can just, you know, queue out of the situation.
Yeah, that is the kind of next step of it, but it takes time to just reach the first step, in my opinion. Actually just detecting that there's something coming, pushing towards you.
Right.
That's what you need to kind of perfect before you go into like, okay, there's a Wraith, I should be like calculating all this kind of odds, who is the best to fight against in this scenario. That takes practice, and that is fetched into your decision making when you gather a lot of data from playing thousands of fights. Then you start to understand, okay, this position I have right here, I see this guy's right here, he's going to struggle because there is a uphill right here. Like, you understand the whole kind of situation. There's so many small factors that you need to implement into like the perfect positional play and decision making, that we're trying to just simplify it right now, because you just need to detect the most important factors. And like, there you go.
I must say, you're pretty talented at the paint.
Thank you. All right, so it's like this, yeah. So this could be like, again, this is maybe 500 hours, and then there's 500 more hours, and you see from here to here you've only gained like 10%, because at this point right here you're at 70.
Yep.
And at this point right here you're at like 80 maybe, right? You see how you need to invest a lot of time to gain little skill.
Yeah.
And so like when you get up to like 2000 hour mark, to just increase like 2-3% of your total skill takes insane amount of time. So that's what I'm getting to. It's like for you to just understand and take in the use of this, if that makes sense, to like get the most out of your time investment.
Yeah. Before
you move into the more kind of diving into fully understanding every weapon sprays and every character's in depth, their cooldowns, their how to use every character in terms of positional play and weapon use and all of this. Like understanding the basics, laying it flat, and understanding small factors that has a lot of like you can take a lot from. As I'm saying right here, just take in the right position. I'm trying to simplify it very much right here with like, by default, find the enemies that you're fighting, find the cover that you want to be playing, use that cover to zone out the teammates, and only do a 1v1.
I have a question. How long have you been playing Apex and been doing the like the coaching?
I've been coaching many other games before this.
Okay.
But Apex, I've been playing a bit more than 2,000 hours. And I've been coaching for 1.5 years, I think. Yeah.
Because your coachings definitely are really in depth, even with the price and everything. They hit a lot of points that other people have missed out on.
That's the main reason why I kind of price myself. I feel like, of course, doing this over internet, it's that the prices are super contested, and especially me living in Norway, this is like a hard job for me to do, because the the base income in Norway is super high, right? So just being able to do this on the internet is a tough job on itself. So I need to price this at a, this is almost like my minimum to be brutally fair.
Okay.
It's
I actually was not going to tell you this, but these lessons are so in-depth, I need to ask you. So I am not an Octane main or a Bloodhound main or even any of that. I play Lifeline, I play Pathfinder. I am a YouTuber. I was in the 1v1 tourney you were in the other day with Dolphin.
Oh.
Yeah, so at first I was just going to play this off to get the actual tips, but it's actually so in-depth that I want to ask for your permission to even upload this, because this is so in-depth that I feel like a lot of people can learn from it.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, there are many people that does like this, but is this your gameplay even then?
It is my gameplay actually. I went in and got the gameplay. I turned my field of view to 92, sense to 3-3. I kind of just, you know, got some like average gameplay because I've done one of these videos before with another coach, like I said. And I mean, you nailed it on the dot, man. You couldn't have said it better, especially with just the few key points that you've had. You've definitely nailed the in-depth for it. So I want to say huge congrats to that. And like I said, I wouldn't want to just upload that without your permission, because that's some serious tips that could help
go for
many
it.
people.
You actually got me, like, I actually had no idea, to be...
That's good, because listen, I've done this a few times, and let me tell you what, the first time I did it, I left a pred trail on, so he knew instantly. The second one, I left the 20 kill 4K damage badge on for the other one. So like, I've messed up. So this one was pretty fluent. I'd say I did pretty good. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Obviously, I'm going to link your Twitch in the description.
I'm 28 years old, playing FPS game for about 20 years now. Starting up from the, I don't know, early CSGO days, 1.6. Playing just... I was playing actually casually for so many years before actually getting into or getting the sense of the competitive scene.
You nailed it, brother. You nailed it. Like, and I'm gonna say this as well. You're on PC, obviously, because I'm gonna put your Fiverr link down in the description below for if anybody else wants to, you know, maybe get some more in depth on specifics. Any PC players out there, controller, mouse, and key, if they wanted some more in depth or specifics, you know, check my boy out in the description. I think you did phenomenal. I think you nailed it. Like you put a lot of effort into it, and well, there you have it. The coaching session went phenomenal. I think this person really went into detail and really cares about the buyer's experience and helping them actually grow. I actually learned a little bit about this coaching session and, you know, tips and advice. So I'm sure you guys are gonna learn something as well. So I mean, if you enjoyed the video, slap that like button. His link to his Twitch and his Fiverr will be down below. I mean, if you want some specific coaching, I would recommend this guy. It's definitely worth your while. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications so you never miss an upload, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.